I welcome you to my channel. So, today we'll be taking up a poem written by Stephen Spender, and the title of the poem is An Elementary School Classroom Located in a Slum. Now, all of you must be having a pretty good idea of what an elementary classroom in a slum looks like. The poet Stephen Spender has done a good job in depicting a very realistic picture of an elementary school classroom located in a slum. So let us begin this poem. Now I'll be taking up this poem part by part. I'll read the first part and then I'll start my explanation, and then we will move on in a similar fashion. An elementary school classroom located in a slum. Far, far from the gusty waves, these children faces like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with a weighed down head, the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So, the first part talks about the shabby condition of the children who are sitting there inside the elementary school classroom, which is located in a slum area. It begins with far, far from the gusty waves, far away, very far away from civilization. Gusty waves here symbolically means civilization. So these children who are studying in an elementary school classroom located in a slum are far removed from civilization, so far, far from gusty waves. These children's faces like rootless weeds. He compares the faces of these children to rootless weeds. We know what rootless weeds are. Weeds are unwanted plants, so we weed our garden. So it talks about the insecurity. Nobody wants them. They are not desired by the society, so they are compared to rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. They are in a shabby condition, pathetic condition. Their hair is unkempt. They have not combed their hair. Then he goes specifically, or he pinpoints specifically to some of the students who are there inside the classroom. There's a tall girl with a weighed down head. There's a tall girl, and she seems very dejected. We do not know the reason for the dejection, but most probably it is because of the responsibility that she has to shoulder at a very young age, because of which she seems very dejected and her head is weighed down. Then there is another boy, a paper seeming boy, a very lean and thin boy with rat's eyes. This boy, paper seeming boy, most probably suffering from malnutrition, because of which the eyes has become very prominent and it seems to be protruding out, giving an impression of rat's eyes. Then there is another boy, the stunted, whose growth is stunned. He has stopped growing. It's also due to the deficiency of vitamins and minerals. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bone. And unluckily, he has inherited the disease of twisted bones from his father. And his lesson, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. He is talking about the disease that he has inherited from his father to the students of the classroom. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. Then at the back of the dim class, shabby class, dull class, there's another boy, a sweet and young boy who goes unnoticed because he is of a dreamy disposition. He lives in dreams. His eyes live in a dream. He is of a dreamy disposition, and instead of focusing on what is going inside the class, he is concentrating on the games that the squirrels are playing in the tree room other than this. So we see that the first para depicts the pathetic condition of the children who are seated inside the classroom. We have the tall girl who is very, very dejected, the lean and thin boy suffering from malnutrition with rat's eyes. We have a boy whose growth is stunted and he has unluckily inherited the father's gnarl disease of twisted bones. And then there is another boy who is sweet and young, a backbencher who is of a dreamy disposition, and his attention is outside the classroom. He is focusing on the games that the squirrels are playing outside the classroom. So let us move on. Now, we had seen that the first part depicts the pathetic condition of the children who are seated inside the classroom. The second part talks about the shabby and dull condition of the classroom itself that the children are seated in. First is the children. The second is the condition of the place that they are seated in. On sour cream walls. What is the color of the classroom? Sour cream, dirty, off-white. The color of the classrooms is off-white. It's cream. So it shows that the classroom is also very, very dirty. Donations on sour cream walls, donations, and on those walls donations are hanging. Donations given by people are hanging. And what are the donations that are given by people? A portrait of Shakespeare is hanging on the wall. Shakespeare's head. That's a portrait of Shakespeare. And then there is another thing that is hanging there inside the classroom, and that is cloudless at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities, bell, flowery Tyrolese valley. It's a beautiful picture of completely built and flowery Tyrolese valley. So there is a picture of the Tyrolese valley also, which is hanging there on the wall. Then an open-handed map awarding the world its world. A world map is also hanging there in the classroom. And yet, for these children, these window, not this map their world. But for these children, this window is their world and not the map. Because the places that are depicted in the world map is far beyond their reach. They will never be able to go to those places that are depicted on the map. Their world is limited to what they can see through the window. That is their restriction. And yet for these children, this window, not this map their world. This window is their world and not this map, because their movement is restricted to the things that they can see through the window. Where all their future is painted with a fog. The future is foggy. Fog, symbolically, it's blurry, bleak, dark. They have no future. The future is dark, foggy, uncertain, hazy. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. It's a kind of narrow street, and then it is sealed. This street is sealed with a lead sky, a sky made out of lead. They cannot penetrate that sky. They have to stay there only. They are destined to live and die there in that slum. Far, far from rivers, caves and stars above. Far from civilization and far from education. This is the condition of the classroom that these children, the elementary school classroom children, are seated in. So let us continue. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. Now, we had seen in the previous line that there are so many things that are hanging on the walls of the classroom for decorative purpose. One is the portrait of Shakespeare. The other is a picture of the beautiful Tyrolese valley. And then there's a world map also which is hanging there on the wall. But what is the relevance of these things for these children? Shakespeare is wicked, he says. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. Because what is the use of the portrait of Shakespeare hanging on the wall? These children will never be able to achieve the greatness that Shakespeare achieved during his lifetime. And that is why Shakespeare is irrelevant. Shakespeare is wicked. The map, a bad example. And this world map that is hanging there on the wall is also a bad example, because we know that these children will never be able to go to those places that are depicted in the map. Their movement is restricted to what they can see through the window. And then there was another thing that was hanging there on the wall, and that was the picture of the Tyrolese Valley, built and flowery Tyrolese Valley. Now, there's so many things depicting or being depicted in that picture, with ship and sun and love, and all these things that they see in the picture tempts them, incites them. They are tempted, but for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes from fog to endless night. But they are forced, or they are destined to live in that cramped hole, in that limited area, in the limited space. And it starts with fog and goes till endless night. That means from hazy to complete darkness, from uncertainty to complete darkness. That is the journey of their life. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones. Now, it is not only that they are malnutritioned, they are suffering from poverty also, and they do not have any clothes to wear. So, these children are wearing skin. The poet has used a beautiful imagery. He says, it is as if the children are wearing skin and bones are peeping through the skin, showing that along with poverty, malnutrition also is there. They have nothing to wear, they have no clothes, and it is as if they are wearing skin and the bones are peeping through the skin. And they are suffering from deficiency of vitamins and minerals, because of which they are wearing spectacles of steel with mended glass. Just imagine, they are wearing specs, but the glass have been mended, repaired, or broken. It's like bottle bits on stone. All their time and space are foggy slum. They are destined again. Again, the poet says that these people are destined to live and die in this slum. So blot their maps with slum as big as doom. So these slum areas are a kind of blot. Blot means stain. These slum areas are a kind of blot on the world map. So we should remove these blots. Blots or stains does not look good. So there has to be an effort to remove the stains. So these slum areas are a kind of stain to the society, are a stain to the map. And who can remove? Now, in one way, what the poet is saying is that there exists a great gulf between the rich and the poor. He wants people to bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots, the privileged and the deprived, the rich and the poor. And who are the people who can bridge this gap that exists there in the society? The governors, inspector, visitor. Unless these people take initiative, the children from the slum area cannot progress, cannot develop, cannot prosper. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window. Now, if these people, the governors, inspectors, and visitor, put on effort, then this map will become their window. And these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs, catacombs are underground graves. Catacombs means underground graves. So, we had seen that their movement is restricted to what they can see through the window. It is only with the help of the governor, the inspector, and the visitor that they can. The map becomes their window. This map that they are seeing, this map will become their window. And these windows which block their lives like underground graves will break. Oh, break open till they break the town. Oh, break open till they break the town and show the children to green fields and make their world run azure on gold sands. So he makes a request to the governors, the inspectors, and visitors to help these children come out of their poverty. He requests them to bridge the gap, to help bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And he asks the children to break open till they break the town and show the children, expose these children. He wants these children to be exposed to the green fields, exposed to nature, make the world run azure on gold sands, take them closer to civilization, that is. Now, in the previous first line, we are seeing far, far from the gusty waves. Waves, I told you, represent civilization. So sand also stands for civilization. So take them closer to civilization and let their tongues run naked into books. Let them taste knowledge. Give them knowledge, provide them education. Let their tongues run naked into books. The white and green leaves open history. Theirs whose language is the sun. The white and green leaves. White represents education from book, and the green leaves, green represents nature. So when he gets the freedom to move out to nature and get education from nature as well as from the books, then only he will be able to express himself and then shine like the sun, or then only he will be able to develop and prosper in life. So, in this poem, the poet concentrates on the theme of social injustice and class inequality, which is rampant in the society. We have the rich versus the poor. So he wants somebody to take the initiative to bridge this gap. And who are these people? It is the governors, the inspector, the visitor. So these people should help in bridging the gap that exists in the society. So before I conclude this poem, I would like to talk about some of the literary devices that have been used. So few literary devices, simile is there. So we have seen like rootless weeds. The face of the child has been compared to rootless weeds. So wherever you have the word like, wherever you see the word like used for comparison, wherever we see the word like used for comparison, that is a simile. So the face has been compared to rootless weeds. Again, we have another, like bottle bits on stone, like catacombs, slum as big as doom. So these are all examples of simile that you will find in this poem. Then again, there are metaphors also. Rat's eyes, paper seeming boy, future painted with a fog, lead sky. So these are all examples of metaphor that you will find in the poem. Rat's eyes. We're seeing the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. How can a boy be paper seeming? So it's a way, an expression, a metaphor. It's a lean and thin boy with his eyes protruding out, and his future painted with a fog. Future is bleak, uncertain, hazy, and lead sky from where there is no escape. So these are some of the examples that you will find in the poem. So I hope that you have understood this poem. So with this, I conclude today's poem. So thank you very much. Meet you in the next video.